You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV Network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Gene.
From the AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com, and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is AFTERBUZZ TV's Graceland After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's Graceland After Show.
Well, hello, and welcome to the first ever AFTERBUZZ After Show for Graceland, the hottest news show of the summer. Bing is for doing, and we're doing this in here right now. I'm Julie Partin.
I'm Stephen Lemieux, and we have amazing guests.
We have some fantastic guests for our first show. Go ahead and introduce yourself, guys.
My name's Chris, and I'm the writer's assistant on Graceland.
My name's Joe Henderson. I'm the co-executive producer of the show.
So we have the insiders on this show here today, and it's really exciting because nobody knew what to expect when it came to this show. We heard a lot, we've seen a lot of previews, lots of buzz. It's dark, but it's still USA. So tell us, guys, a little bit about this show and when it was first conceived.
Jeff Easton came up with the show years ago. There's actually a script that he'd been sitting on for a while. And Jeff Easton, if you don't know, is the creator of White Collar, and just phenomenal writer who had written this script, had sold it to NBC, and then it had, amongst many pilots, not gone.
It was back in the 90s, right?
I think late 90s, maybe early 2000s, and it was just like, it was a script that he loved and that just didn't find its fans at the time. Cut forward, he's on White Collar, a couple seasons are going, and they brought up the fact that, hey, there's a script that you loved that we love, and he was actually really hesitant to do it with USA because it's a little darker, it's a little grittier, and it's a little more serialized. Like, this is a show where you don't necessarily want to do the case of the week. You want to be able to see the cases, but really it's about the characters, it's about the world. And ironically, he sort of fought the network. He's like, I don't know if you want this show. And they're like, no, we want to go different directions. We want to push. You know, USA has this wonderful blue skies world that they've created, and they love this world, but they also know that you have to diversify a bit, and they're excited about doing something a little darker, a little weirder, a little more dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So they basically said, hey, Jeff, let's dust this off. Let's update it. Let's find a new hook to it. And
It's funny. I read to prove how old this script was. When I read an original draft of it, like back in the day, and one of the main conflicts for Mike Warren, the character in the first draft, was that he had to call his girlfriend, and he couldn't find a payphone to do it.
Oh my gosh!
I do believe
Seriously?
they were smuggling Jennifer Lopez CDs.
No. Wow.
The little circular ringer was stuck.
There's no such thing as the World Wide Web. It's a completely different world.
He stole the phone book. There was originally a truck full of phone books. He had stolen all the neighborhood's phone books.
Ironically, it was still at Levi's, though.
Yeah.
Those were around in the early 90s.
Timeless. It's timeless.
Acid washed, obviously.
Wow, so that's crazy. So do you guys feel like maybe cable and with the insurgence of all these different new medias and darker television shows that it was the right time?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, that's what the network was going for. They're trying to.
I think they see the success rightly of a number of heavily serialized shows that are doing really well, and you've got like the Walking Deads of the world and the Breaking Bads. And I think to a certain extent there's that excitement about challenging yourselves, and I love that USA wanted to do that and that they were willing to let us do that too. Yeah. And I mean, because there's just something really exciting about telling an ongoing story that really just sort of digs into this heavy level of character, and basically we're really going to be torturing these guys over the next 12 episodes, and the stuff that they let us do has just been pretty incredible.
Yeah. So was it always called Graceland? Because that title seems really unfitting. I totally thought it was going to be in Nashville.
I know. It's the
area.
We brainstormed every single other conceivable title for this show.
Cowabungalow was my favorite.
Cowabungalow. I should put that on there. There's actually like a poster that I made before we even, because I did a lot of photoshopping in the room. I'm just like the resident photoshopper.
Yes, it's awesome.
And we made a poster for Graceland, and we called it Cowabungalow at the time. And even before
What's the tagline?
Surf's up, crime's down.
Oh.
It's pretty amazing. That's still on our office door as a big Cowabungalow poster.
Yeah.
So.
Surf's up, crime's down.
Yow.
Characters welcome.
There it
Agent
is.
Mike Warren makes a Malibu Boo on tonight's episode.
It writes itself.
I know, it absolutely does. That would actually, I would have seen that being picked up in the late 90s for
Right.
USA.
Yeah. Coming right after Silk Stockings. It would have been perfect.
So I was reading an article about it, and they were talking about just laying the foundation perfectly, and somebody said, like, let's get these characters right, and the rest will fall into place. So I know you guys didn't have a ton to do with casting or whatever, but can you tell us a little bit about the characters and their beginning and their fit with the actors that are placed in the roles?
Yeah, I mean, I know Jeff's talked about this a lot because his original conception for Paul Briggs was like beach bum, Patrick Swayze, and Point Break sort of dude. And so he was really locked in. He's like, this is the character, and then Daniel Sunjata comes in and just completely redefined him. Like, it was, I was with Jeff when he was sort of dealing with it, because it was that idea of like, this guy is so good, but he's not who I pictured. And he's like, I'm just gonna have to do a lot of work rewriting this character now because this actor has redefined him for me. It was really cool. Like, I've been a huge fan of Sunjata since Rescue Me, and so I was just excited that he was even in the running, but he brought such a different approach to it. Like, it's still Zen in a very different Zen, in a very different way than what was on the page. And it's those little happy accidents that just change everything in the best way.
I remember another model for him was Alonzo from Training Day.
Okay.
Yeah, Denzel Washington's character, and then but obviously Daniel Sunjata takes the different, total different take on it, but
Right.
he's that instructional but badass type of guy. Doesn't give a shit, whatever. But,
Well, so we do get to go into the characters a bit, and it is interesting to know about like what they were, how they've evolved, and what they actually become. And the episode actually starts out introducing, well, of course, the teacher of the FBI like institute class, like
The
graduating.
big commencement speech.
Yeah, the commencement speech, graduating everyone, and then we also get that interspliced with Donnie's story, what's going on between Donnie, Lauren, and the Zirconi, I think it's the Zirconi, Russian drug cartel, basically. And this is kind of an interesting thing because as we get into the episode, we see so many different references to this, like the things that people are going to be saving your life. You can die at any time. This is the real world. Like, you're in school now. This is the real world. Welcome to it. And Agent Mike kind of gets thrown into that on his first day. He gets welcome to the real world. And what I found was very interesting, because this episode is filmed like a 90-minute film. We have the introduction to the characters, and then we have kind of like the comic between them where they kind of bond a little bit, and then things get serious, and you start really understanding who these characters are and what's going to happen between them. So let's go ahead and start off the episode with this botched operation that I don't know. I wish we had like rubber balls to see how hard it is to hold a rubber ball in your elbow.
I thought it was a great way to start the episode because it was very intriguing.
Yeah.
And you didn't jump right into, hey, I'm so and so, and she's so and so, and that's why we're like this.
Right.
It started out, it was very intriguing, and somebody straight up gets shot in the first few minutes.
Yeah.
So that was pretty crazy, but like, the ball thing, how'd you guys figure that out? Does that really happen in drug dealing?
I mean, when Jeff talked to the guy who originally ran the Graceland room
Right,
house.
because this is based on a true
This
story.
is based on a true story.
Right, crazy.
An agent who did actually build a place called Graceland he took over a drug lord's house. It was Graceland. They grabbed it. And he has all of these stories, like all of these fantastic stories of busts gone wrong, like the way they have to improv to survive these situations. And I believe, I can't remember if that was one of them or if Jeff came out of it whole cloth, but that was all Jeff Easton in his mad, crazy ways. I'm coming up with just a lovely visual way to show how a little mistake, and you see, like, you see Donnie like sort of flipping the ball around. You see this guy knows what he's doing. It's not that he's a rookie. It's that
Right.
just every now and then, something goes wrong.
It's the fidget before the act.
Yeah, and it's like sometimes it's uncontrollable. It has no reflection on you. sometimes something just drops, and I love what he came up with in that regard.
And that juxtaposing between the FBI speech and then what happens on the street, I think that was an addition in the rewrite of the episode. I remember Jeff was writing that
nice.
before. Yeah, he came up with that idea, and I remember he was sending out that speech a lot of times and rewriting it and getting people's thoughts on it and stuff before because it was really important to him to have that juxtaposition.
Yeah.
I think that was one of my favorite things about the pilot episode is that it did go in a lot of different directions, and it sort of felt like from one scene to the next was like happy fun surfing, super dark drug lords.
Yeah, right.
Or mixed in between whenever they're mixing each other up.
Yeah.
But
It didn't seem too far apart.
Right, yeah. It's weird that the worlds could coincide as easily as they did.
Yeah.
We wanted to play contrast. Like, I think the fun of it is, like, there are people who surf all day and kick down doors at night. Like, this does exist, and if you walk that fine line, you get a world that we don't really get to see very often.
Yeah. And that's an ongoing tone, and I think that makes our show really unique in that way, because we can have the fun house moments, where they joke around and they talk about girls and they're drinking each other's juices, but they're also dealing with death and with drug use and, a lot of different conflicts, which is interesting.
One of the things that John Marcello, our advisor, told us, he's like, these guys, they party really hard. And it's because, like, they live these really hard lives, and so when they go to the bars, they push even harder. And the burnout rate was actually pretty high because you're living your lies are your life. Like, that is very true to them. They would tell their girls all sorts of different things. They would, just continually live this life of lies, and they would also have the time of their lives. Like, it was just high intensity, always at 11.
Yeah. Well, you can even see in the writing segues, like if that's a term, the reason it flows so well is because you don't have this happy-go-lucky scene that just abruptly ends and then you go into a dark scene. You have the happy-go-lucky scene, like let's take the beach scene, for example, where we have them, they're all going surfing and everything's kind of happy, but they're still kind of giving them a hard time, that kind of thing. And then he goes under the pier, we have the lighthearted thing with the dog, where the dog steals a sandal. But then bringing him back down to earth, bringing it back down to that darker place a little bit is, what's her name?
Charlie.
Charlie comes in, and it brings it back from this area of a vacation of talking about Briggs and about how he is a little bit darker and like things are different. Everyone has their secrets. So that kind of lessens the segue when you have her talking about that, and then we go into the next scene, which is obviously later in the day, and things are about to get real.
Yeah, let's summarize the characters really quickly, the ones we got introduced to. Briggs, the main guy. He works for DEA?
No,
He's FBI.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. There's 3 different law enforcement agencies living in his house: FBI, DEA, and Customs.
Yes.
So which one is Briggs?
Briggs is FBI.
FBI, okay. And then he's the main guy. He's been on Sex and the City. He's been on Grey's Anatomy before.
Smash.
This guy has a heartthrob past.
Right.
Yeah, this is
Don't forget
not...
Smash.
Although most of the time the characters I've seen him play have been like the too gorgeous for his own good boyfriend. So this is new for him. His character does not seem to be influenced by a woman that much.
No. I discovered him personally on Rescue Me, and he was just phenomenal. My fiance discovered him on Sex and the City, and
although he had this crazy Georgia accent or something.
I have not seen it, but she fell in love with him right there. So.
Yeah. He's pretty impressive on that.
Really.
And then we have Mike Warren,
Yes.
who
Also FBI.
main character that we were just talking about, and everybody's going to recognize him from Les Mis.
Yeah.
Which I thought he was foreign.
Really?
Yeah, until the first few seconds of seeing him
He
in
was
this.
great. He's such a great actor. He's been in Catch Me If You Can on Broadway and all sorts of things. Like Aaron's the real deal.
Now that you say that, and maybe just because you said that, I got like a Hugh Jackson vibe.
Ooh.
Hugh
Jackman.
Hugh Jackman.
Hugh Jackman,
Oh,
yeah.
Right.
I like combining Michael Jackson and Hugh Jackman, though. I think that's actually really exciting.
Both.
I can see it. Yeah.
Yeah, just sort of
both.
like big shiny smile,
Oh, yeah.
but still could handle business.
Right.
He is not ugly.
I know, right? And then we have Johnny, whose name isn't Johnny, kept from a toilet joke.
Yeah.
And he seems like the comic relief.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah?
He's the
one.
glue.
Yeah. He's one of our favorite characters. For
I can
sure.
see that, yeah.
He's just fun to write. He's the character that bounces off every character. Which, by the way, is Manny Montana's personality.
Really?
Like, yeah,
Okay.
he's just the nice dude who likes to talk and hang out, and just he's the character's there for everyone in the same way that the actor is. Like, it's really a lot of these characters. You're sort of getting splinters of their personalities in the characters in some fun ways, and Manny, you're getting pretty much whole cloth.
Nice. So what law enforcement is he?
He's FBI too.
Yeah, we have a lot of FBI.
Yeah.
Okay, but then we do. I really like the fact that they're from all the different branches because it makes it interesting. Like we got to see the Rasta deal going down where the Jamaican guys were selling birds.
Dale Jakes.
And I got to be really honest with you guys. I like Jake's better Jamaican.
Yeah.
Yeah. His Jamaican voice was so funny.
It's coming back.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Hey man, you got my own juice. Like, yeah, no.
You know, if we need to do ADR, we'll use that.
Oh God, yeah.
That scene was funny to me, and then I fell in love with his Jamaican character.
Yeah,
and he
he's
comes
great.
back, he's all mean about the juice. I was like, whoa, first
Yeah.
impression.
We caught
totally
him on a bad
off.
day. We caught him on a bad day, and I think that's going to show in his character throughout the season, in that he has probably fairly large mood swings. And he's not like, well, yeah, but he's going to be going from 0 to 60 on the anger scale pretty quickly.
And I'll tell you, he's such a fun character to play with, especially in relation to Johnny. We really discovered through the season that the two of them have this fantastic brotherly bicker that we found out. I think it's about the 4th episode that it really
third and fourth. They did great.
That's
at that
true.
too, yeah.
And then it just from then on we're like, well, we'll write to this because
They could have their own spin-off show.
Yeah.
for sure.
Wow.
Yeah, they're great.
So fascinating how that'll happen with characters. Like whenever Friends was developed, Monica and Joey were going to be the love interests, but
Yeah.
the characters just take on lives of their own. So
Yeah.
go with that.
yeah, that's very true.
And then we have the two women, Charlie, which had an awesome introduction.
Yeah.
She's DEA, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, no, sorry. Charlie's FBI.
Charlie's FBI.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
Lauren's
We got a lot of FBI.
FBI. So Charlie, yeah, she had a really, really cool introduction because you weren't sure if you had much promos if she was a druggie or not.
Right.
You could think this was a real criminal.
That's an interesting, because you were talking about characters who changed from the pilot into the season. When she was originally written, she was actually supposed to be kind of this, I mean, almost a sex symbol to Mike, kind of entrancing. That we have that shower scene, and like she's supposed to transform from this drug addict to this beautiful woman, and she's beautiful. But her attitude kind of took on this different tone later on the season. Because she becomes more of a mother character than a love
Ooh,
interest.
really?
And actually, in a fun way.
It's great. No, she's
Because
great.
I thought her and Mike
So you did see the
had.
connection.
I
Okay.
thought that everything was leading towards them like becoming a romantic relationship.
Right. Yeah, that's interesting because we've had a lot of people watch, and some people didn't get it, some people did.
How could you not get it? The shower,
That's true. I mean, I
the
don't know.
meet cute, guns in the face, then the shower, then the robe. Welcome to your room.
Right.
Yeah, the robe and then the towel on the beach was like, okay, love interest, done.
Right.
It's,
that was the way it was written for sure.
Well, I think what's fun about it is like you watch how she looks when she's undercover, and I think one of the reasons she blends in is because Vanessa loves like she wants to be uglied up. Her vanity is like at no point. She's like, get me bloodier, get me uglier, get me whatever. And then when you actually hit her when she's all dolled up, she looks gorgeous, and you just hit these contrast points.
Yeah.
Like there is no sense of like, no, I need to look good at all times. Like if she's been through something in an episode, she'll push for like more of everything, more bruises, more whatever, and
She's
it's
like
fun.
the Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah.
More blood, I
Very
need more
much.
blood.
And she was in a Quentin Tarantino movie. I mean, that's what one of her in Death Proof.
Yeah,
she had
That's
that
probably where she got addicted
sexy-
to the fake blood. She
It
is
might
the
be.
resident makeup artist of the house.
Yeah.
That she is.
Oh, you need a scar. Again, sexual tension.
Again, that's the way it was written. But yeah, it just takes a different turn.
Track mark.
And then we have the character who didn't really have any scope because she was just PO'd this whole episode, Lauren, because her boyfriend / partner / not boyfriend, we didn't really know, was shot.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, so, hell hath no fury.
Indeed.
Right.
Yeah. So Lauren and Donnie become sort of the ongoing, the beginning of the ongoing story of the next. What happens? How does does Donnie come back? Where does Mike fit? Where does he go? And there's still one more roommate we haven't met yet.
Right, I know,
So-
Paige.
Paige.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. What happened right then is whenever we were watching the episode, I turned to Chris and I'm like, did Donnie die? He looks at me and is like, I'm really not going to tell you.
Seriously, watch the episode.
I didn't know it was a
That's
plot.
what I was expecting this to be. Who dies next episode?
Well, before we
Everyone.
get into the plot, you guys have to see, if you haven't yet, Maria Menounos' new movie, Serial Buddies. Have you seen it?
I have seen it. I've seen it multiple times.
Yeah?
Because it's awesome. Duh.
Hilarious, right? And you can get it on iTunes along with this show, now available on your phone and iPad.
Cool.
So Serial Buddies is something that Kevin Undergar and Maria Menounos, they founded AFTERBUZZ, and they put so much time and effort into AFTERBUZZ. that kind of put the movie on the back burner, and then we just like rocked it out. So now we actually have everything done. It finally got released to iTunes and digital download, and then it's coming out to DVD later this year. But we're really excited about it. We have lots of, like, you'll see AfterBuzz hosts like Tamara Berg, John Comerford. Lots of people are in it, alongside Christopher Lloyd, Beth Bears, Kathy Lee Griffin. Yeah, it's got an all-star cast, and it's just really hilarious. It's like Dexter meets Dumb and Dumber. But that is out now, so you should go to iTunes and download it. And yeah, it really helps us out because we don't do commercials on the air. So except for this,
the only thing I could use in Dexter is a little more comedy.
this guy has his face on his hat, so you should download Zero Buddies. I had to point that out sometime in the
Thank you.
episode.
I'm glad someone did.
It's mind
And
bending.
it goes, okay, and then the little hat guy has a hat guy on, and then a hat guy on.
It's hat inception. It's
Wow.
a hat within a hat.
Hatception.
Hat inception. It's sort of your thing,
Yeah.
like the writer on 30 Rock.
It's exactly who I want to be. That's what I aspire to.
This is what he does instead of taking notes in the room. So
I just brainstorm.
We need to
the
have a
hat.
He
talk.
photoshopped his own hat.
So now I got to mention one more thing with the characters, and then let's dive into the show because we got to run through the show so we can get more questions in with you guys. I really like on the casting and the makeup hairstylist part in how they can make Mike look so green as opposed to the other characters just by using the facial hair. They're very good at doing that with the characters, as you can
Okay.
see, because you have of course Johnny is kind of like the in-between guy,
Yeah.
and you can tell that he's kind of like relaxed and he's all that. But then you have the very fresh out of school. I mean, it has that very fresh look. His hair's neatly combed.
Yeah.
I mentioned it when we were watching it. Who the hell uses the clips in their suitcase when they're using
I
the luggage?
know.
Right.
I'm like, that's just like straight out of. It's like straight out of boot camp stuff.
that's when I learned how to use those. So,
Honestly, that character was so well written as fresh-faced.
yes.
Like everything about him seemed optimistic, eager to learn, ready to jump in there, and gung ho.
Yeah.
And in every character arc, you have about 100 points. You're at 100, and then you lose HP as you go down to what your arc is going to be. And with this episode, sometimes pilots make the mistake of dealing a great blow to them. Like
Yeah.
you have the hour-long pilot, and 45 minutes in, you have this perfect guy who does this, and then suddenly, bam! Like somebody dies, and he's like a completely different person, and that can destroy a show because you won't have much time to go with that. And Breaking Bad kind of is a prime example of how to do this the right way.
Yeah.
Right.
But with this show, it's great to see that you guys took it the right pace. You took it away from him a little bit at the end, just to lead you in a little bit more and be able to run with it for a very long time and actually have us be interested to see how far this agent can fall throughout this series.
Yeah, I think what Jeff did so well is it's the first step. It's like this pilot tells you, all right, he's been a little dirtied. Wait until you see what happens for 11 more episodes. Like, can this guy survive this world? Can this cast of characters, like, will they help him? Will they hurt him? Will he hurt them? Like, is this a family? Are they together? Like, and I think, like you said, like a lot of pilots, they blow the load right away, and it's like, boom, gut
Right.
punch. It's like, no, the gut punch is coming. But like we're gonna really try to earn it throughout the season until we get there.
We always thought about Serpicoing him, like growing out his beard.
Well, pilots these days and television in general, I feel, is trusting the audience to be more intelligent than it used to.
Yeah.
Like they're trusting that you will watch the whole season, you'll stick with it. Like Downton didn't get good till episode 3. I mean, we're sort of like, get there. And when it did in a big way.
Well, I hope that I don't watch the last episode and he just has a goatee, and that's
I
how you
know,
say
right?
that he's evil.
She's a mustache, she's twirling.
The only way I know.
It's suddenly a silent show, and you hear like piano music.
We need to rewrite it quick.
So, should we be calling him Levi or Mike? What are they going to be calling him throughout the series?
The funny thing about the show is every character has about 4 names, which we were actually terrified about, but he's normally called Mike, but
Okay.
every now and then they'll still call him Levi.
Okay.
It's funny because like it's Johnny, Joe, Totoro, Charlie, Chuck, C. Like they even like improv nicknames as they go, where you're like, no, you've already got 5 nicknames. You're giving him a 6th now.
So Mike had to have a case on his first day, which was not unexpected, honestly. But then whenever he had his first operation, he goes in there. It goes a little wrong, but not that wrong. He goes, let's just jump into it.
Yeah.
So he has a drug deal with this very family-friendly drug lord man. ish.
Drug lord man.
Yeah, he's
So
like
we
he's
got-
like a happy car washing kid dad guy who has his child answer the door.
Yeah, he's a loving drug dealer. He's a
I
very
know, right?
So it's Felix Royo.
yes.
Arroyo, yeah.
Roya. Okay, so we've had Felix Roya, sorry, and he has a connection to the Zirconia cartel, apparently. And they want to set him up with this case, even though, like, Briggs doesn't want anything to do with it. Everything's going like that. So they finally set him up with this case, and they want to send him to buy 8 yards of indoor. And
Is
indoor.
that a real drug term?
I think so.
I think it might be actually. It's funny
Let me
because
Google it.
we had like a list of different drug terms that we were given, and I can't remember at what point we started making some up. So
Yeah.
After Buzzers, if you are a drug lord or a drug kingpin or just a drug user, tell us if you've ever used indoor in the comments section.
And this is kind of the first time we see Lauren trying to insert herself in everything.
Yes.
And this is kind of, I feel, is going to be her character throughout the season is, oh, I'm not invited? Invite me. I want to be a part of this. I want to be a part of this. Oh, it has to do with Donnie? Oh my God. Frantic. But
so you've seen the later episodes.
I think so.
You're lucky you have those
So-
eyes.
Then they're trying to go over his background, like, okay, who am I? You're Mike. I mean, it's your name. You might as well just go with your name because you don't want to be in a situation where someone's like, hey, Joe. Oh, yeah, that's me. That's me. Yeah, you don't want to be like that. So I mean, I have a friend who works in the DEA, and he's like, yeah, you just go with something that you'll recognize, even if you use a nickname back from the day or whatever.
Yeah, go simple.
Right.
So he wants to. They tell him the story about the 9 hookers hooking ass, or not hooking ass, hauling ass at Sunset Boulevard,
Or both.
The movie story.
Yes.
And I feel like this is probably going to be a long-running joke throughout the season. Not even like very deeply, just mentioning it like.
It's referenced. We move away from it a little bit, but keep sort of the thematic idea of it and just the basis of it. But it's that kind of storytelling is what we really try to hit. Like that they can have riffed and told us a movie and by the way, again, like this is stuff that people like John Marcello told us they'll do. Like they'll show their badge and say it's fake, and they'll be like, this looks like this looks like a Cracker Jack box.
Wow.
Like, those things happen. Like it's.
Yeah.
And this is where it really feels like a USA show. Is when we go into these stories that are like the flashback, when they're just like they're effing with the criminals, just kind of convincing them because it's the dramatic irony where you know that they could be killed at any time, and then they're trying their best to actors trying to act in a show.
Yeah.
About
Man, I
acting.
love when criminals get duped on USA shows. That is my favorite thing.
We should change it to Criminals Welcome.
And it also felt like a USA show. There was a few gratuitous shots of bikinis.
What?
Gratuitous.
A little bit.
Seriously.
There's no such thing as gratuitous with that. So, right from the start, though, when we get to Felix's house, something felt off. And was that a choice in the directing and the filming of the episode? Because as soon as he entered the door, it just felt like Felix was like.
Well, this is what
Off
I was
kilter.
waiting for. When he said step outside of me, I didn't know if he was going to turn evil real quick. Like a big two-faced man.
Yeah, I think that was the big play. Russell Fine directed the pilot. He directed a bunch of White Collar and a number of the Graceland episodes. And he's the kind of guy who will get 5 different beats out of every scene and and also make it look beautiful. And that's a very intentional sort of like, this guy's really friendly, but is he secretly evil? Like, I thought he did a wonderful job getting that performance.
So they put Mike's chops to the test. You know, he gets his way out of it, and they go to the alleyway, which again is one of those another beat like bad idea. turns out it's just a van full of Levi's, coining the name Levi.
Right, yeah. The drug dad never went evil.
And it's
Yeah.
it's kind of brilliant because it makes Felix instantly likable. You made a character that you weren't sure about that is like a drug dealer basically. It made him instantly likable because he's the guy who has a family. You already know he has a family, but now he's just like the guy who kind of got the short end of a stick.
Yeah.
He's got a truck full of Levi's that he stole because he's just kind of an
He's
idiot.
like, I gotta feed my kids.
Yeah.
And it just makes it makes you want to help him later in the episode, as opposed to like, why did they help him?
Yeah.
Right.
And that's good writing.
Yeah.
That I like to throw out there.
What we call
So
puppy.
is this
Yeah.
Felix? You don't have to tell us if you can. Is this an ongoing character?
Felix is not coming
Okay,
back. Well,
all right.
season 2, maybe. We all really liked
okay,
him. It's
yeah.
just
But in the preview we saw.
I know. At the end of the episode, they showed a preview for what we just saw. Okay,
Genius
so
marketing.
all right, that's a little disappointing, but I guess it just gives us a taste of maybe it's not always black and white on who's a criminal and who's not on the show.
yes.
Yeah.
So the first bust went fine. We were shown the mic was good, but I was waiting. Like I'm like, this isn't it. Something wicked this way comes. It's not over. So Felix goes to jail. His non-lawyer, who he's obviously terrified of, comes and he's like, don't let that guy bail me out. He has third strike. He can't get out. Although California law has changed since then.
Oh.
I'm sure very few people know that.
Luckily, the Russians
Not
don't.
when it's written down.
But
So-
before that, just note that Felix saw Mike
Right,
in
yes,
the
good
FBI
point.
uniform. They brought him
So-
through the wrong hallway, and he saw him as an FBI agent.
Yeah, and
So-
that's a big issue that that's something that our characters have to deal with a lot. Is that you have to keep your cover forever, and or else you're in trouble. The house is in trouble because if that happens, then if the bad guy knows your name and your identity, then you're compromised.
And
so,
that goes to like going out to the bar and running into people everywhere. Like one of the things
Wow.
that we were told a lot is, they lived where they worked, and so they would go to a bar and run into criminals. They would run into bad guys, and it's like you're trying to talk to a girl, telling you're a surf instructor. This guy over here thinks you sell cocaine. What are you going to do?
right.
You're gonna do cocaine off a surfboard in front of that girl. That's what you're gonna do.
Episode 5.
You're gonna hope that the girl's up to party. So Felix, I'm not wrong about this. He lied to the lawyer and trusted that Mike would get his family back, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So he realized he was screwed, and so it's like, well, I know
Russians kidnapped his family, his adorable little
Yes.
son, daughter, wife.
Was there a cut scene there? I feel like there was a scene on the cutting room floor with Felix and speaking with somebody from the FBI.
I don't remember. I don't think so.
I know that was all Felix's decision on the spot to do.
Okay, so
in
it
a
was
way,
implied.
it's a lucky break that Mike got because he saved his alias with the Russians and all that. If Felix would have said, "Oh no, he's an FBI agent,"
Right, yeah.
But the thing is, Felix isn't incentivized to do that because he doesn't want to say that he goes caught by the feds because then he's
Right.
even more in trouble. With
And
the
because
Russians.
he's a good drug dealer.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah,
a good.
we like Felix.
Basically
He lies
just
to
a
that guy.
working man.
Yeah, just trying to
Call
sell
him
some
a
Joe
jeans.
working man.
But so Mike gets much more than he bargained for with this case. Like out of nowhere, he is elevated to several years of experience.
He is
type
promoted
work.
to Frankie Down.
Yes, yeah.
right.
Like, and so they warn him, they're gonna ask you to kill somebody.
Yeah.
And that's in my opinion, it was already a good concept. But when they were driving to the house and they said it was a government safe hold,
Immediately.
yeah,
We
Actually-
were like, oh,
that's
I loved that you guys got there about 2 seconds before, because like to me that's exactly what you want from
well,
that
we're
moment.
TV people.
But no, I think that's also I think everyone like half the audience should get there right beforehand,
Right.
and half the audience should get there at that moment. That's like the sweet spot we aim for, because like you want people to be like, oh my god, I figured it out, and then see it and be like, because you get that sense of like, aha, like it's not out of left field. Like,
Right,
the
yeah.
pieces are there for you to figure it out if you want to, and I think that's to Jeff's credit, like that is a well executed sort of reveal, and to Russell's, I think he shot it very well.
There was a moment there whenever he was talking to the Russians when he had to do some serious convincing that he had killed somebody. And so we got to see a little bit of back and forth telecommunications, high-tech stuff of him coming up with a random person who had died on the toilet.
crazy
Crazy Jakes?
Jake.
Crazy Jakes.
Crazy
Yeah,
Jakes, yeah.
Again, like I love the storytelling, like the fact that these
Yeah.
guys tell stories, but then they can still use it in their cases, like is something that we really like to play with.
So right whenever they said it was the government safe house, we both screamed, "Oh, he's going to kill Donnie! He's going to kill Donnie!" And Donnie is alive, obviously.
I totally was expecting Donnie to kill him though. Like I knew he wasn't going to die. He's the main character, but like I'd be like, he's not going to kill Donnie. Donnie's the guy at the safe house who's just been shot. He's going to be more alert than anything right now.
Yeah.
But with when you have stories that are true stories like this that you form into episodes, does it create is it a little bit harder to morph them, or do you have even more leeway when you're creating the stories?
Yeah, it's well as we go on, this show in particular becomes much more serialized. So we actually everything that plays out when they're undercover will come back, and they'll have to deal with like a long-term undercovers as opposed to just this 1A story type of thing. But
And when it comes to the stories, we're taking their stories and amalgamating all sorts of things. So
Okay.
it's in no way like that is in no way the chain of events that really happened.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
it's
I know,
more
yeah.
just we're basically thieves of ideas. Like
Okay, concepts.
You
Yeah.
take every single moment that happened with them, and you sort of shake them up a little bit.
And there was a time that Jeff was worried about mentioning certain mobsters, like real mobsters and
Yeah.
real cartels. Like we actually changed one of the cartel. We had just a stick band. We had an actual cartel name that we kept using. I think it was just like Juarez or something. We just kept using Juarez over and over again. And they're like, maybe we should change it at some point to something else in case.
We're not going to make them look very good.
Yeah, right.
So.
It's like they watched the episode. This Mike guy, I think he's an undercover
Just
cop.
in case we get, right.
Everyone on these credits, kill them.
It says true story on the screen.
Yeah.
And let's get real about writers. They may be able to write a great action scene, but put a gun in their hands, they're probably going to accidentally shoot themselves in the face.
I would be Jamie Lee Curtis from True Lies, dropping it down. So. And probably wearing that dress too.
It was funny whenever Mike was on the plane at the beginning, and that Spanish lady, his cover was blown by the flight attendant. Worst flight attendant ever.
Yes.
Fired.
Yes.
But the Spanish lady said, put him up or something, or
Manos arribas.
what is it? What does it mean?
Hands up. Hands up.
Hands up. I knew he was going to say that. I did think he was going to come later, but I knew he was going to say that at some point in time.
Yeah.
I feel like that's such foreshadowing to covers being blown later in the season too.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, because he wasn't expecting it at all. Like they were even saying, just keep it low key when you pick him up from the airport. And this guy sends a message just so he knows where to find him because he's lazy.
Yeah.
Right.
So there's gonna be a lot of that, I'm assuming, where laziness will probably get somebody killed.
Although I had my doubts about Mike as an undercover cop when he's like, I'm a teacher. It's new school. No name. Nope. No
learning
grade. No
process. Yes,
name.
It's called Abraham Lincoln Roosevelt High. One of the things that is so fun about the show is we're able to do these long-term things, and so we're gonna have these characters undercover for multiple episodes with the same people, and the fun is that threat of, for one, becoming close to the people that you're trying to take down, both in the case of the criminals as well as you see from the end, Mike Briggs.
Yeah, that's a big plot point we should go on.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I don't think we were supposed to know that Mike is there to cover Briggs. When Briggs was studying the paperwork, I knew something was up.
Yeah.
I knew Briggs didn't like him. Didn't know why.
The real fun of it, to me, like the heart of the show, is you've got this guy who just wants to take down bad guys. Like
Which one? Mike?
Mike, yeah.
Okay.
And then you've got his supervisor who he loves and respects. Is he a bad guy? And then you've got him going out with actual bad guys and realizing that they're actually human. So you've got this character who is just like he's a white knight, and we're just dirtying him every episode as he tries to figure out where on earth my allegiance lies, who on earth I can trust, and what lie is actually the truth. It's a lot of fun.
Well, whenever he was getting the breakdown from Briggs, like, what did he say? Your lies, your life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of questions on what's bending the rules, what's breaking the rules. What.
And
what
Mike
is the
lies
right thing
for
to do.
Briggs at the very end, which is like, to a certain extent, the very first lie that could come back to haunt him.
Yeah.
Now, I did notice some funny rules in the house. No guns downstairs.
Yeah.
There are no secrets in Graceland. But I feel like there are secrets in Graceland.
Except for Briggs.
And our favorite thing, the chore wheel.
Oh, yeah.
You like that? Oh,
We
love
gotta love the chore wheel.
Yeah.
I didn't like the chore wheel. I felt really bad for Mike.
It's hazing
That's
though.
good.
It's classic.
We want
man.
you to feel bad
I'm
for Mike.
anti-bullying, Stephen, and anti-hazing. Okay, guys, you do your fair share of your chores.
Hey Julie, you see where it says Julie? Or you see where it says Joe? It now says Julie.
Yeah.
You know, if
Wax
I ended
on.
up in a house with all FBI agents that were all guys, they're like, oh, see all those names? Do all those chores.
It's a lot of mean FBI agents.
So, do you think, because you guys can't really tell us, do you think Briggs suspects why Mike is there?
Oh well, of course he suspects.
Yeah?
I mean, he has a feeling. That's why we get the whole. That's why we get
Paper going through.
the test. That's why Briggs volunteered to run after him to save him in that op, as opposed to Johnny going. This is why Briggs wanted to be there, because he wanted to potentially save his life, because he has that under his hand now. He has that back pocket card. It's
Create
like,
a favor.
What, you're gonna do this? I saved your life, and he even pulls it out at the end. Like the fact that the fact that Mike turned his receiver off to ask the question, "Did you see the gun?" means that Briggs is already gaining favor with him.
And Briggs is noticing that too.
Yeah.
It's
So of course we get that, and of course, what's the name of the man giving the commencement speech at the beginning? Not the actor, but
I
the
was
character
saying
name.
Courtney, but oh my God, I can't remember.
Me neither.
Mr. Guy.
That shows that
Mr. Guy.
Let's
All
just
right.
call him let's just call him the powers that be.
Yeah, there you go.
So we only see the powers that be in the beginning, and then we see them at the end. So it kind of gives you that time to forget about him, and then when it comes back, it is that boomerang that kind of hits you of course, between now and then, we should. I'll slow down just a bit. We have some time. We have the whole realization of he's in Donnie's place. Everybody's freaking out, like, oh my God, he's gonna die. He's gonna die. He's gonna shoot him.
I thought Donnie was dead this episode.
Nice. I like that.
Really?
Yeah.
Why would you like that?
Because it gave you that wonderful surprise, like, but the one that you were able to figure out right before it hit, like.
No, after I knew they were going for Donnie, I thought he was dead. I didn't know why. I thought maybe someone was going to shoot him, and it was going to be blamed on Mike.
Gotcha. You thought he was going to die. Okay.
I thought this was Donnie's last episode. Yeah.
You guys like to pull the suspense string and then just snip it with the, oh, here are your keys, by the way. It's like, oh, here, snip. Oh, all right, everything's lighthearted again. You have that whole thing like, all right, follow my movements. All right, cool, we're done. Like, oh yeah, did you move anything else in my room? And then
That was funny. That was a good line.
He was so good in that too.
because it's like it's like actors. They do a scene, then they're like, okay, break character for a second. Okay, and they go right back into the scene. Break character for a second. Oh, I got to do this, right? And it's like, oh yeah, bang, 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 bang. Next scene, he's running out, and we get tense again.
Yeah.
With now these Russian guys who are acting slightly different than what would be expected after a successful hit. So Mr. Frankie's not gonna like the news that he has to get in the car.
Yeah.
So they're acting weird. They tell him to get in the car. He won't get in the car because, of course, he wants to just skedaddle and get picked up by the FBI and figure out what the hell's going on with Donnie. And they threaten him with guns. And then finally, you just hear gunshots. And Briggs is there to the rescue, helping out Mr. Mikey Green Boy, Rookie Blatt. I don't
He responds to all of those.
He's helping out Levi. So, and then we have the suspenseful scene where the guy's like acting very weird. He's like, it's like I was in the car.
I love that guy so much.
Cock the lie, I'm in the car. What do you want from me? I'm fine. You know what? The rest of the car. I don't want to buy it. It's a nice Land Rover. Come on.
Yeah, I mean,
it's
it's a
comfortable.
Tommy Wiseau in that.
Little known fact, he actually had the heater and the massage thing going, and he just didn't want to go.
So that was all improv. He was actually, you filmed it while he was asleep and waking him up. Somebody was underneath the door like pushing and was like, no.
What I like about that is it is like that first sense of like, you get trained so much in the academy, and it's like when you finally step out and you realize, oh, it's not always white knight, it's not always black and white. It's like, did you see the gun? I see it there now. It's instinct, it's gut. And it's like, it's the things that you can't book smart that you've got to learn in the field. And to have that be his first moment of like, to a certain extent, the question is, you were right this time. Will you always be right when you shoot a guy before you see the gun? Yeah. And I think that's the really exciting.
And that's what's cool about them being in this house together. They're always in the field. So there's no. We always debate about like dealing with whether they deal with the bureaucracy of the FBI, but it's almost better because it's the Wild West for them. They're out there. Briggs defines the rules, and if a guy who you're questioning his morality defines the rules, then suddenly it gets a lot trickier.
And one of the really fun things to play is, for these guys, Graceland is sanctuary. Like Charlie says, like there's no secrets in Graceland. Well, Mike has a huge one. And the thing is, the reason Graceland is sanctuary is because it's where you go to relax. It's where you go to be you. He can't do that. So what do you do when you take a guy who's a rookie and can't even get that one outlet that you need to be able to survive in this world?
I think Charlie's going to be his outlet. I think he's going to tell Charlie, probably by 6th episode or something.
No, I don't think so.
I don't know if he's going to tell her, but I know she's going to find out. Because I think she's the one person who's probably suspicious of Briggs at the same time as he is, or not as he is, but like slightly suspicious of Briggs because she says they have that conversation. There are no secrets in Graceland except Briggs. You're right, except Briggs, and that's kind of like there's like a barrier between them. Everyone in the house,
that
everyone
was
in the
a
house.
little mention, yeah.
So I think she might actually have her own suspicions that they might help each other out at some point.
Yeah, all I can say is that you'll be surprised by who has allegiances to who has passed with who. It's kind of.
It sounds very much like the Bachelorette house or the Real World or something like that.
I can't speak to that, but Chris has seen every season.
I don't think you're here for the right reasons. So let's talk about the last character, the dog.
Ah, yes.
Where did the dog come from?
It's BD, Beach Dog. So I don't know if that ever actually makes it to screen, but that's the dog's name.
So we heard that the creator's really in love with dogs, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So why did it come in? Was it for him to find solace in a friend, or was it just because we gotta get a dog in there?
Well, people always, when we turn up the dial, when they always react to the dog.
In the most callous level, that is very true.
But if you kill the dog, you will have everyone hating you.
absolutely.
Every show.
I don't
that
know,
was-
House of Cards for 5 seconds.
That's why, the
That's probably why
worst
they
part
did
of
it.
House of Cards.
I agree. Yes, we were talking about this.
Sorry, I
the other
only
day.
watched the last.
It's not a spoiler.
everything.
It happens in the first 5
Yeah,
seconds.
yeah.
I can give one spoiler, which is Jeff made the rule we cannot kill BD. So
Thank goodness.
he's a ardent fan of dogs, and he
So he's around. This dog is back in other episodes?
It's spirit animal-esque.
Okay.
Yes, it's BD is sort of like I think it's sort of almost a representation for Mike of many things, of sort of like of loyalty and all these sort of dog-like qualities, and always appearing on the beach when he's sort of looking out into the world.
It's a good point about him not having anywhere to go. It's very hard when you're working from home or if you're working in your apartment or whatever, if you don't have a place to go, to be with your thoughts, to be with yourself. And I think he's taking solace in the beach.
Yes.
As cheesy as that sounds,
No.
that's his getaway.
And the same way that when Briggs talks about surfing, like surfing is an out, it's an escape. It's a way to sort of get out of your head. And Mike is trying to find his surfing.
So we see the internal affairs agent rules it a clean shot. It seems like she's gone through this a lot of times before with Briggs. Like she seemed way too comfortable. It's like, nope, it's a clean shot. I don't see
I know.
anything wrong here. He's like, yep. What about
Honestly,
you, Mike?
if
Yep.
I had to pick characters who I think were dirty, she'd be on the top of the list.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, she's internal affairs.
Yeah.
She looks totally different. This actress has never had straight red hair before.
I've never. Had she been in a while?
Yeah, she was on Grey's Anatomy.
I didn't recognize
Yeah.
her.
Silence of the Lambs
Erica
as well.
Really? So
Dug her up from the bottom of the well.
Yeah, I mean, you'll be surprised how much Briggs gets away with. We'll just say that.
Yeah. Well,
I'm a cop.
But
I do what I want.
So there was that one little comment about the eyes, and then there was that tension with the shower scene, but I didn't see a lot of romance between the characters, at least now.
Yeah, we there was so much to get to, and I think Jeff made a very conscious decision to tease but not dig in.
Okay.
And one of the nice things is we advance a number of relationships pretty not incredibly quickly, but faster than we were anticipating. Partially because we just started seeing chemistry, we started seeing moments, and
And there's another girl coming.
and there's another girl coming. So
She may bust that wide open.
that might happen. We actually have a number of civilian women as well coming. So there's a lot of love in Graceland. So
I gotta think there's gonna be, and I kind of got this feeling like I'm throwing out some sort of lots of predictions here, guys. Sorry, but
no, come on, bring it.
between Lauren and Donnie,
Okay.
I really feel like Lauren is the one who's hanging on to something that's not there, and Donnie's the one that's gonna end up betraying her in the end.
That's interesting.
Oh, yeah.
I can at least speak to the first half, which is Lauren holding on to that is going to create problems.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that is spoiler-free enough to say.
And like Donnie obviously is a man who's purposeless and isolated right now. Mm-hmm. So that gives problems. And I mean, I guess while we're throwing out predictions, we don't have to wait. And it's funny right now because these guys write the show, so we could say something that they think's a really good idea and end up writing it in later. But
Yeah, we'll steal.
with Charlie, I felt like there was a tiny moment there where she was looking at the little kid when she was doing the drug moment. And it was just like a tiny little moment, but I'm pretty good at picking up on the foreshadowing of people feeling nurturing or parenting needs. And so I think that might come back later. Like, she's not living a normal life. She's not like a wife or mother, and obviously not in her 20s, probably. So I think that might pull her in some direction. Or maybe that's too feminine of a theme. We'll see.
Well, to that point, one of the things we were told about the people who lived in these houses and just undercover in general is the women start to get pulled in two directions. It's like, do I want a family? Do I want a normal life? And that is a huge element that comes up. And what happens with a lot of them is they make the people around them their children, their family, and that's a really big thing.
Oh,
is
so that's where
they-
the mothering thing might come in.
That's why.
and so it's like you get to this moment where it's like I take care of you. At this point, like you're plenty on my plate, and it's a little bit of substitution that ends up happening with a lot of them.
And another funny thing about that actress is that I think she was originally written to be Hispanic, but
I thought she was Hispanic.
no, she's Italian, like
Yeah.
100% hardcore. I mean, I don't want to say 100%, but she's
Aren't you
Oh,
100%
she's from-
hardcore Italian too, Chris?
75.
Okay.
But yeah, then once we found that out, we're like, oh, let's go with that, And so she
Yeah.
that's another addition to her motherly quality, just this big Italian family type of thing.
Yeah,
And
she
it
sort
really
of stole the
works well.
character and made it her own.
Yeah, totally.
Well, even from White Collar, and you did a lot. Did you do right? You did writing on White Collar as well.
Yeah, yeah.
There's a lot of things that you have to watch the episode twice to really understand what it means, because it can have a future meaning in the episode. It can have something like that. And I feel like I didn't catch everything just because we only watched the episode once. But in shows like this, especially with Jeff as the guy, there are lots of everything has a purpose. And when you think something doesn't have a purpose, it probably does, and you got to think harder on it. Like, that's going to be one of the scenes, the one that you mentioned with the child and in the drug house. There's going to be things that play to her character. Everything in that house has a purpose. The fact that she tells the mom, like, hey, take care of your kid. The dog taking the sandal. Like, I feel like that's a metaphor for something that I'm just not putting two and two together right now, because the dog afterwards brings the sandal back, and this is when he's his character's like coming back into himself a little bit. So, I mean, every scene that you think may be pointless has a purpose. Even in the beginning, we talked about the balls and the hands. Like, it's the fidget. It's, you know something's about to go down. It's a foreshadowing.
Ooh, maybe one of the cops is afraid of that happening to them, so they shoot up later.
Well, we
They're
also
like, I'd rather be high than dead.
well, you also have to think there's like 3 parts of the episode that really hit you, and they're like, this is what made the pilot get picked up. This is what makes people think, okay, I can really see a series here. I can really see fans liking this show, and I can really see a good fan base. And that is the ending, of course, between what do we decide to call him, Mr. Guy, or like the evils that be?
Green guy? Oh,
Yeah.
The powers that be.
The powers that be.
Not the evils that be. You threw that out of nowhere.
And then, of course, the beginning where it all goes wrong, and then it's a quick line, but you catch up on it when you hear it. I have friends in the force.
Oh, yes. Yeah, good point on that one. Yeah, one of the Russians. It's like, I have friends in the force. Immediately, we're like, who is it? Who's his friend? Are they in the room right now? Are they listening?
And as you said earlier in this interview, just to pull that out, you said that you kept mentioning the Juarez mob. You kept mentioning that throughout the season. So I have a feeling the Zirconis are going to be a very ongoing theme, and we're going to have to see who they have in their pocket on the police force. We're going to see, they probably have someone in Graceland.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
There's definitely a dirty cop in Graceland. We don't know who it is.
And the reason he's investigating Briggs is because they probably think it's Briggs.
Right.
It's the dog.
The
dog.
dog.
The dog.
That dog is too cute. It would
But
not
they
last
can't
on
kill him.
Exactly. That's what it wants you to think.
Oh, there's really some gorgeous woman attached to the dog, and it becomes a love interest.
The last scene of the season is just the dog. Like the Simpsons, like.
But definitely, I mean,
Very nice.
this show has a lot of potential, and I see it fitting at USA well.
Awesome.
That's a good fit. And I mean, is there anything else that's different about it that you guys are incredibly excited about?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's the thing. It fits in well at USA, but I think I love it because it's USA trying to take a step in a slightly different direction. So it's
Right.
not. They're trying to break the mold in a different way, and
But
go
not
towards
too far. I mean, USA has its viewers, and honestly, it's me. Like,
Yeah.
AMC shows are often too far for me. I don't like them. It's too dark. And even HBO, too. Like, I can handle a few episodes of Dexter, but I quit Dexter. Like, anything too bad is too bad, but I really like smart characters. I really like deep storylines. I like shows that you cannot watch at the same time you're playing on your computer or whatever.
Yes.
You miss something.
Yeah.
Yeah, to me, what I like most about it is the humor. Like, what I like is that we can be funny and that we can contrast really dark, disturbing moments or just really serious moments with jokes, with and not even like punchline setup sort of thing, but like these characters, like the world they breathe in is inherently funny, either in a gallows humor way or a different kind of way, and we can go there, and we're encouraged to go there, and it's so much fun because it's a little darker, it's a little weirder, but it's also, I think, one of the funnier shows.
Yeah, that's what I like to think. It's got something for everybody. You know, Breaking Bad fans can watch it and enjoy the mythology of it and a lot of where these characters are going in the dark way. But USA fans can love it for the humor
Right.
and the character interaction.
I'm always really suspect of casting before I see a pilot.
Interesting.
I don't know why. I just feel like they're going to make the wrong decisions or the wrong decisions for the wrong reasons. But I was very satisfied with the cast. I like that nobody stuck out in my mind from a previous movie or show too much besides Les Mis.
Mr.
I
Lemieux.
kept thinking he was going to sing Angry Men.
We'll get him there. No, I think what USA does so well on a lot of their shows, like White Collar, like Matt Bomer and Tim DeKay, like
Or Mary McCormick.
yeah, exactly, like Mary
Plain
McCormick.
sight.
Like you've got these actors who you're like, oh, I know them, I really like them, but it's not like you haven't really defined them yet. And so USA has this wonderful opportunity to define them, to make them into iconic roles, where when you watch it, you're like, oh, now Matt Bomer is Neil Caffrey. But like before then, he played a lot of different things very well, but he was never like, it's the network where you make an actor a character.
Right,
And I think it's a wonderful opportunity, and I think all of these actors have taken some ownership of their characters in an amazing way.
Wasn't their tagline "Characters Welcome"?
Yep.
There you go.
It is.
So is all of the episodes filmed for this season?
All of them are filmed.
So how many episodes are we getting this season?
It's 12 episodes total.
Okay.
So.
And do you know, you may not, are they airing them every Thursday?
Every Thursday. I think
With
there
a
might
break?
be 1 or 2 breaks depending on like 4th
Okay.
of July. This is really cool. They are going to air a couple episodes long because they really like the episodes and they don't want to cut a couple minutes.
Wow.
So in reruns they'll be cut down, but for their for the first debuts, one of them goes like I think 2 minutes long, the other one goes like a minute and a half. So
Nice.
it's really cool because USA is basically just taking a hit. But
USA has been putting a lot of stock in the show. I have seen more publicity than I remember.
They really believe in it. They've been incredibly supportive, and they called up and they're like, listen, we know you can lift 2 minutes from this. We don't want you to. Like we'll take the advertising hit, air it the way it is because we want people to see it.
And you
like,
want the pacing to be correct.
exactly. That was their point. They're like if we lose this pacing, it'll still be good, but we don't care about being good. We want it to be great.
Exactly.
So it's been wonderful working.
And
with
here
them.
are us women from home screaming, cut the shower scene. Cut those bikini bottoms.
Well, when you're competing with such amazing other shows on the networks, you really have to have your game. And you guys, for this being a pilot, you have your game. And if it can stay on the consistency of this, and I'm sure it'll even get better because you can with a pilot you kind of don't have as much free space because you're really just trying to get the points in. You're trying to introduce everything so it gets picked up. But now that it's picked up, you can go like, oh, I didn't like this. We can relight a little bit here. Well, not anymore now it's filmed. But
Right.
Well, before we could.
before, yeah. So I feel like now that we have the characters, you know what kind of tracked, and then you've made sure everything was done, filmed. It's gonna be really good. It's gonna be what people want it to be, as opposed to what you think they would want from just the pilot. And when you're competing with things like Netflix, and now that they have comedy, they have drama, they have murder, like Hemlock Grove, they have Supernatural, and even other networks, like they have new shows that span the genres.
Yes.
So I feel like USA, if they want to compete, they have to span the genres because people don't really have a favorite network anymore. They really just have the shows that they want, and it's just getting a hold of those shows that can pull that great writing out, that can get people like,
Right. Yeah.
when's the next season? When's the next season? When is this going to be on Netflix? I want to watch all of them.
Yeah.
Like
I know,
things like
yeah.
that. You need that. And I feel like this has a lot of potential. I'm really looking forward to the rest of the season.
Oh, thank you.
It'd be great to have you guys back as well
Yeah.
to talk about this. Even if you can't make it, you can call in or whatever.
I'm not that busy.
We don't have a lot of time left. We still need to go over this last scene really quick with Briggs and the bonfire and
Yes.
Mike, because it's like one of the most important scenes and we keep referencing it, but we don't say what actually happens. So Briggs and Mike have a short conversation, just rushing through this real quick.
Your lies are your life. You lie to your mom. You lie to your future girlfriends.
How do you keep from
etc.
going crazy? Well, who says I'm not?
Yeah.
And this kind of ties back to the earlier comment in Briggs, where Charlie's talking about Briggs and says that, well, he used to be the button-up guy. He used to be the guy who was the button-up caller, like everything by the book. And then he went on leave. I forgot why he went on leave. And then he comes back, and this is who he is now. So we'll probably figure out a little bit more of his backstory and like who he is.
You didn't forget why. We just didn't tell you.
Okay.
And the one thing I'll say is we made a very conscious decision to not draw things out too much. Like you'll learn a lot season one. Mysteries introduced in the pilot will be answered by the end of the season.
Sweet.
It was a very, very big conversation and a big decision, which is let's reward them. This season will have a very complete feel to it in a really exciting way, and then a big jump, hopefully, to future ones.
Yeah, I think you were the one championing a lot, like that not only at the end of the season, there's reveals in the middle of the season, because we wanted to,
You want
like
episode 4 to be important.
Yeah. We don't
Right.
want people just, oh, okay, well, I don't have to wait until the finale. I have to watch every episode if I'm going to catch the big thing.
We had a moment that we considered making the season 1 finale really early on, and we were like, what if it's not? What if it's in the middle of the season? What if it's much earlier? And all of a sudden you unlocked all of this story and all this richness, because ultimately you realize that, like, TV's changed a bit. Like you said, like people binge watch and people like expect a little bit more. And it's exciting for us to be able to sort of say, you know what, things you might necessarily hold on to, what if you just run through it and see what it unlocks?
Like the Red Wedding in Game of Thrones. That wasn't the finale. What's going to happen this Sunday?
I mean, that's exciting. Like when an episode 9 can do that, and you'd be like, I don't even know where you go from here.
Exactly. And I feel like it makes me happy to know that you guys are actually planning things ahead and making things very noticeable, because there's shows like Battlestar Galactica where you're just like, oh my God, let's make this person an android. Let's make this person this.
Yeah, it feels like sometimes writers will come up with a great scene, write it, and then be like, how do we fit that in? Drop it. It was a dream.
This person's dead. Oh, let's bring him back from the life. This is going to be great.
These characters haven't been in here. Yes, they have.
You just haven't noticed them.
Let's just trick them into what? Yeah, they'll be fine.
And then, as we all know, the final scene, your investigation is into Briggs. And that is where I was just like, that's why I got picked up. I was like, that's why the pilot got picked up. There you go.
There's so many layers to those two guys' relationship.
Yeah.
Boss, mentor, roommate,
wingman.
all of it,
Jeff was talking about this the other week. That moment didn't used to be at the end of the episode. They used to be at midpoint, and he moved it towards the end, and that really unlocked everything, because it gave you this wonderful sense of settling into the house, and then relaxing and enjoying it. And this is a show about a bunch of people living together, and then boom, you get the gut punch. And before it was in the middle, and it didn't hit as hard because you didn't care as much yet.
The end used to be the dog scene on the beach.
Yeah.
So I think that.
And they switched it, and it was one of the smartest moves.
I mean, I love the end.
It was a good switch.
Yeah.
Sarah Geismard-Fox, it was her idea.
So the bonfire was back when.
She'll be so excited.
After the pier scene then. The bonfire was after the surfing and pier scene then, and then the ending was going to be after him and, is his name Dale?
Dale Jakes or
Dale Jakes with the Levi scene, and then you see him go outside. That was going to be it. Oh wow, that's so much better this way.
Yeah, definitely.
It really gets you that the fish hook in you for when's next episode coming out.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where on the page it played great, but you watch it and you're like, this needs. Oh, if you move this, oh my God, it all of a sudden comes together.
That just shows the beauty of editing. You can change so much, tell a completely different story when it comes to post.
Right. Yeah.
And any show, like it's the last rewrite is what they always say, and it's true. It's like you can go from a C episode to an A in post very easily, and it's really exciting because you change storylines, you change entire things. I know Friday Night Lights used to they would lose entire storylines in the editing room floor, because they were like, it's not working, or it doesn't fit here.
Yeah.
And they'd reorder, and that was a really big learning lesson to us on being a little fearless about where you put things and playing around a little bit.
Well, I felt like it was very good, because at first I thought it was the story. No more. End of the episode. Wow, no, that's crazy. Awesome. I didn't see that coming.
I'm happy to hear you say it.
Well, I mean, we've already pretty much gone over predictions. We don't have too many.
Do you have any news?
I mean, I've looked up all different types of news. There's tons of interviews right now.
Yes.
Like, every outlet online is covering something about this. Everybody's saying it's so dark. It's USA's venture into new territory. And it seems like it is, but at the same time, that made me nervous, and the show didn't. So.
Good.
What about you guys? You got any blistering news that you just found out about Graceland? Picked up for season 2 on the pilot.
I wish.
I wish I could make that announcement to make it true. We're waiting. We're excited, but it's a new kind of USA show. Hopefully the audience comes. Like you said, when you hear dark, the USA audience might get a little worried. I think we tried to walk a very fine line to both expand as well as keep. And I guess we'll find out how we do. I mean, I'm so excited to be paired with Burn Notice in its final season. That I think they'll give us a wonderful lead-in and everything. But ultimately, I hope we'll see if people show up. And
Burn Notice is a good lead-in.
It's a great lead-in.
We're both big fans of that show.
Oh yeah.
We play
one.
paintball with the Burn Notice writers' room. So. We're actually going to go watch the premiere with Matt Nix and his writer's room tonight.
I know you said paintball with the writer's room, but all I can picture now is Michael Weston playing paintball with the Graceland people, and that sounds so much better.
That does. They are much more interesting than us.
It wasn't nearly as sexy as that image.
What do you mean? Michael Weston is not the main character. The main character is Chuck Finley.
There you go.
Fiona down there.
All right. Well,
Shall we shoot
we're
them?
moving into other shows right
That's true,
now.
that's
So
true.
I think this is our wrap up for the Graceland after show at AfterBuzz TV. Yeah, we got.
We will
I like
see you
that.
guys next Thursday. And what time does the show air Pacific Standard Time? 8, right?
10/9 Central.
10/9 Central, okay.
After Burn Notice.
Right after Burn Notice.
Hour and a half long.
So please connect with us on Twitter in the comment section on YouTube. Give us 5 stars on iTunes. That's how we keep the lights on around here. I'm Julie Partin. You can find me on Twitter at JuliePartin.
I am Stephen Lemieux. You can find me at Stephen Lemieux. That's StephenLemieux. Yes, there is an X at the end of my last name. I'm not sure if I'll be on the rest of the season for the after show, but I might be. I mean, this is a good show. Definitely new to me, like definitely something I wasn't expecting.
Yeah.
Not that it was a good show.
No, I get what you're saying.
Where can we find you guys and follow you guys on social media and keep in touch with all the projects? 'Cause I know you're doing Burn Notice, you're doing White Collar, you have all this.
So I'm at @Henderson_Joe, and we'll be on Graceland, and then White Collar will be returning in October. So please check that out as well, because I love working on that show.
Nice.
I'm at Chris_Masi. But I don't tweet that much, so you can just like friend me on Facebook or something.
Do you sell those hats?
I should.
You should.
I have to like tailor it to your unless you want to wear my face.
No, you should have a shirt with
No,
a
I
picture of
want
that
your
hat on it.
face.
I want to wear your face.
Anyway, guys.
Thank you so much for coming. This elevated our information level to a new high.
Thank you guys.
So thank you for being here. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next week for episode 2.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.